get put planet.
All right. Welcome to the show, No Filter. The show where nothing is off limits. We don't aim to offend you, but if you get hit, oh fucking well. Today's topic, we are going to be discussing polygamy. That means we are going to be discussing polygamy in all forms. Some idiots don't know what the other forms are, so I guess we're just gonna have to cover that while we're talking. Mookie, let's start with you. Oh yeah, we're joined with Mookie once again. Say what up, Mook.
What up? What up?
And super asshole, Mr. DeKev. So
that hurts my feelings.
You don't have any feelings, but
sounds fine.
I can't hear you snickling or nothing. No, it's too late. No. That's all I want.
I need to make the upsy face. People try to make the upsy face. Leave me doing that.
Well, first and foremost, right? I gotta say, I be seeing like memes and shit and whole conversations on the internet about polygamy, and I be seeing ignorant ass bitches saying crazy shit like, why everybody always got to talk about polygamy? Why can't they talk about two men and a woman? Okay, listen, ignorant bitch. Polygamy is the overall, all-encompassing concept of that. Just so you know, I don't want to insult you any more than that by telling you how it works. But there's a polygyny. And then there's polyandry, but they're all polygamy. So for any of you ignorant motherfuckers listening to the podcast, please understand when we're saying polygamy, we are talking about the all-encompassing concept of one person being with two people, be it one man being with two women or one woman being with two men. Either or. So now, Mookie, what's your take on the concept of polygamy? Either or. You could choose either one.
In the premise, on the basis of it actually works. It does. It works. But on the societal level, it does not, because that's just how people are brainwashed into thinking that, one man, one woman, one whatever the case may be, whatever you're into at the time. But I'm actually for it now. I wasn't always for it, but now I'm kind of like, the premise of it is actually pretty sound.
Okay. Way to jump that off. Kev, what's your take?
Well, if you bitches know what you need to do, they won't have to worry about it. But they can't do business. You know what I mean? So they better open their holes whenever they need to be opened, or they need to open their motherfucking mind state and allow that shit to pop off so they just be happy. And vice versa. Do need to go ahead and, treat yourself when he needs to be policed. And if he can't do that, then, he needs to be okay with someone else entering her. If she's tight, hopefully it's me. You know what I mean?
That shit escalated pretty quickly.
That shit got live. That was live.
That escalated quickly. I personally wasn't gonna go with wow, Kev. Yeah. Okay. Well, Kev turned it into a people ain't doing what they're supposed to do. But I wasn't thinking necessarily in terms of infidelity as much as three people of any combination willingly having a relationship between one another to further everyone's cause. not necessarily the whole concept of, oh, I got a bride, she ain't doing what she's supposed to do, now I'm finna go get some other bride. Like, not that. Like, two chicks, fully aware of one another, coexisting, helping to further the cause of a particular man. Or vice versa, two men trying to further the cause of a particular woman. Now, personally, I understand that there are physiological differences in the sexes in that sense, and I understand like why it worked the way it worked in the past and why it seems more natural for it to be one man and two women. But I'm not really going to argue that point until later. For now, we're just going to stick to the concept of three people being in a relationship with one another.
Now, like, even when you said this, I saw the content, I was like, it actually, like, it sounds good, but then it's a flip side to that, too. Because this is just me personally, I can't speak for everybody else. I have enough following with one. So I don't think my brain can comprehend two problems at the same time. I just couldn't do it. My brain is, and even feel like, yeah, they both know and they both can coexist and be happy about it, but at the same time, I can't have two. I'm just turning one problem into two.
Well, that sounds like it speaks to your extreme dislike of the fair species at this point in your life. Now I don't want to say I don't want to say you hate bitches because that's rude. So I'm just gonna say your extreme dislike for the fair species at this present time. You see what I'm saying? Because you got to think to yourself, right? Like, in all seriousness, if we're gonna use you, Mook. I know you don't like to be the example, but this one might actually work out. In this scenario, Mookie is happy. Mookie has a chick, and the chick is solid. She's doing things the way things are supposed to be done. There is no issue to speak of outside of time and other responsibilities. So Mookie meets another young lady, and that young lady is wholeheartedly on board with joining the present union that already exists and understanding her role. Now, her role does not have to necessarily focus on you. And I'm not talking about sexual shit yet. I'm not going there. I'm literally saying you're talking about having two problems. But what if some of the problem can be eliminated by adding another whole person to the mix? Because now where you're tired and you're not responsive and you don't necessarily want to hear the complaint without a resolution, there's another woman who understands her need to have those complaints that don't result in any fucking logical shit at the end.
I did not think about it like that.
Yes, you're saying there's two problems. Like, honestly, one of your primary problems could be eliminated simply by having another woman in the mix. Now, we're not going to get into the whole ego and self-esteem shit that bitches carry with them, so they not with it. Like, I'm not on that. Like, that'll be part 2 of the polygamy podcast. Right now, we're just outlining the concept of polygamy and how it could or couldn't work per se. But yeah, see how your focus was literally like, okay, bitches are a headache, and now I have 2 headaches, and I only have 1 head, so that means I have to have a constant headache. Like, that's basically
right. Because that's what my problem. That's where my only problem lies with it. Because just like you said, on the scheme of everything, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. It's like that's the only downside that I would ever see to it, to have somebody else to pick up the slack where, and 2 people may be able to do it, 3 people will make it even better. Because now you got somebody that can counteract. Somebody else can pick that slack up. I ain't got to worry about that. That person got that, or this person got that, and I ain't got to worry about that. and then you can come together.
Like, yeah, you know what? Like my personal, like the way I see it, right? When I look at it, and you have to be totally honest. Like, and this is not like we're not jumping into the past thing. We're talking about like right now in this very moment in 2016. If Mookie has a girl and both y'all both are earners in the house, but there are children or there are other responsibilities in the house, say cleaning, cooking, things of this nature. If you had another person there to do those things while both of y'all were still earners, ultimately having three separate identities in the house to form one cohesive unit, the shit sounds genius to me. Like, because
there's literally no flaw.
Right, like, because a lot of the conversations that most people have, like I hear people complaining about what has to get done and what doesn't get done. It's like women be like, well, yeah, like we both have jobs, so why I got to be the only one to deal with the baby? Or we both have jobs, well, I got to be the only one to clean. Well, if there's another whole broad there that brings that to the table, that's three grown adults functioning as a complete whole unit to get everything done, instead of just two people constantly at each other's throat trying to get some shit done. And the shit needs to get done. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, cooking, cleaning, dealing with kids, picking them up, dropping them off, all that type of shit, that shit has to get done. I mean, that's just a reality of the situation. Like, when you're talking about life in general and moving, you know, and making shit happen, that has to get done. Now, it sounds like it's a genius idea when it's another grown, responsible, willing participant in the foray to do it. My opinion, once again. Like, that's just my opinion. Like, then once again, we still not talking about the sexual shit yet. We're not gonna go there. We're not even going to sex, because 90% of the broads you ask, the first thing out of their mouth is, well, why he gotta get two bitches so he gets two different pussies? Like, bitch, nobody's talking about fucking yet. We talking about, right? I mean, like, if everyone did in a relationship was fuck, nobody would ever come out sad. So for you bitches listening to the podcast about to say some shit like that, shut your dumb ass up. Go suck your dude's dick and get the fuck off the podcast and come back in about 15 minutes. Maybe we'll get there and then you can complain.
So let's revisit what Mookie said about they're hard to deal with. Right? While he put that as a negative, I actually would put that to a positive light in polygamy, because it actually would teach a man to learn how to be patient. Because dealing with more than one of that problem is a lot more to deal with. So a man would want to be more patient when it comes to that kind of stuff. So in theory, it actually might benefit people with problems with just one woman.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, see, this is how my mind works, right? I understand what polygamy actually is in every sense of the word. But when people were talking about it, like I said, it's usually bitches want to jump the fucking gun and go left with it. And people would say, no, it's dudes, because if the bitches would be like, yo, if I say I want two dudes, he's gonna have a problem. Well, let's just be totally fucking honest. If you got a dude, you probably have a sad dude that's aware of your dude, which clearly means the sad dude is perfectly okay with you happen to fuck your guy. Like, this is just a reality of the situation. Like nobody poking somebody else's broad is under the assumption I'm the only one fucking. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even real. Like, okay, I gotta go spend time with my boyfriend. I'm assuming, I hope, he's getting what I'm getting at the least. Is that not correct?
I would agree.
Right. Like, I don't think no self-respecting dude is like, I mean, if you bring it to the table, like, yeah, I think I need another guy in the house. Okay, so what is this other guy for? Because if this is going to be me and him, then me and him could be roommates and you could get the fuck out and we could fuck a lot of hoes. Like honestly, like that's, like if a chick is suggesting to bring another guy into the house, then ultimately that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, okay, well, bitch, you not doing nothing. You can get the fuck out. And me and your homeboy, we can just be on super bachelor mode. Right, like because that's not building nothing together. Like that's theoretically an impossibility in a sense.
Women want to complain about polygamy when it comes to it's always guys. Well, let me paint a picture for them real quick. In the world, men significantly outnumber the amount of women, which means that if everybody just marries one person, there will be a lot of women that are shit out of luck.
Yeah, you
so actually polygamy.
You know that, right? You said men outnumber women, but you corrected it in your final statement.
Oh, sorry. So anyway.
Yeah, you good.
So anyway, in polygamy, it actually helps the numbers. So, there's not that many unmarried women due to, the numbers. So in theory, it does help people satisfy that craving to get married as well. Teamwork makes dream work.
So this is the question. So why, with all the positives of polygamy, why is it looked upon negatively?
Because people's morality is based on this idea of monogamy and some archaic notion of romance and a Christian ideology that everyone claims they don't adhere to, but clearly they do because they wake up every morning and say they want breakfast or they skip breakfast, not realizing that they're using some religious terminology. Because it's permeated into the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, and that's why I said I get it. I understand it.
Well, that's funny. That's funny because Abraham had more than one wife. He was in the Bible. Muhammad had more than one wife.
Yeah, but
I can name these religious people from the scriptures that actually had more than one wife.
Well,
but I can't do that.
Listen, honestly, the whole practice of having more than one wife, it's relatively a new idea to not do it that way. Like it's happened within the last 150 years.
Western civilization.
Yeah,
because if you go to Africa, in these places that are not in the cities that are westernized, right? There's a but it's funny because if you can afford the wives, because like for example, right? I know she's from Kenya, and basically, like, if you want to have this dude's daughter, she's like, the baddest one out there. You better come heavy with cows. You know what I'm saying? That's how they pay. Hey, I'm gonna take you in cows, man. You can eat good. I want her. If you can afford them, you can have as many as you can afford. There's no limitation on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but again,
like that's like I said, that's me. Like we are going to hit that. Well, we might as well jump into it now. It's logical. Like there's a physiological reason these things were acceptable in almost every culture until you get to ours. It is because we were talking about a time when people worked at home. And people had to do things at home. And the more motherfuckers you had there, the better your ability to get and gather your resources were. So as a guy, clearly, I can produce my seed more frequently than a woman who expels an egg once a month. And if that egg becomes fertilized, she can't do anything again to bring anything to the situation for another 9 months. So physiologically, that is the argument for it. Because if I have 2 women or 3 women, I can effectively be having 3 children at the same time, thereby boosting our ability as a unit to better farm our land or trade our goods or do whatever the fuck it is we do. And then when 2 of the women have children, one of those women can take care of all 3 of those children, and they can rotate the responsibility of taking care of the children along with the guy, because clearly men had to teach those children how to do things out in the field and shit like this. So it wasn't like it's just all about child rearing. At the end of the day, like it makes sense to do it that way. Where if you're talking about one woman with 3 different dudes, well, what the fuck is that going to accomplish? At the end of the day, like, okay, the bitch is pregnant. So, number one, we don't know exactly whose kid it is. Number two, we're completely and totally at a loss in our ability to continuously grow our enterprise. It's not possible. You're pregnant. You can't get re-pregnant. You can't carry three separately conceived children at the same time. The shit didn't make no fucking sense. Physiologically speaking. Like, we can all agree that that's the case. Like, I mean, I don't give a fuck if people agree or not, but like, once the bride is pregnant, she's not getting re-pregnant right after that. Like, that's not happening. Despite what you see on SVU. So, yeah. Like, physiologically, it makes sense for a woman to shear her mate in the enterprise that is them as an entire unit to build something greater than themselves. The problem is, you know, ego and pride and self-esteem and, you know, things of this nature. Just like mostly everyone you know lives in something bigger than a 2-bedroom house. So if you have a 2-bedroom house, effectively, if you don't have any kids yet, how hard would it be to have 2 women in 2 different bedrooms? I'm not even suggesting everybody sleeping together. Like, that would be great, but I'm not suggesting that. Like, literally, like, we coexist to help further our cause, thereby splitting the bills, the rent, the light, gas, water, like everything. It would literally lighten the load for 3 separate human beings to better create a more flourishing fucking enterprise.
And that's true. I think polygamy got a bad deal because of a few people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you said, like, we have to talk about it, but that's the main reason why people don't like it is because it's sex. People look at it as being sex. Completely like, oh, okay, motherfuckers just want to do this because they can have sex with different people. But like, just like you said, man, like the financial, like the financial easement, it just makes too much sense.
Well, you know what? I'm going to totally disagree. I don't think it's just about sex because women aren't strictly sexual in nature. Women can get jealous of. So a negative of it can definitely bring jealousy, and not just from the sexual aspect, but you know, from the lack of spending quality time with the person you want to spend time with. You know what I'm saying? Because they're attached to them emotionally, and when they need to go to them for that, he might be with the other wife. You know what I'm saying? So it could bring jealousy in that aspect as well. But you know what? I think the biggest negative about it, honestly, is the effect it can have on the children.
You think it'll affect them negatively?
Oh, I'm certainly affected negatively. You know, especially in today's society, right? Because for one, right, why is my family different than other families? You know, and they make teams for it. I mean, you know, I've seen stuff on TV where, you know, they felt like their family was a cult and they had to escape it, and they were always they left their whole family because they were worried about what everybody else thought. You know what I mean? Because again, the peer pressure and all the other stuff coming in because it's different. People are looking down on it. So yeah, I think the biggest negative aspect of it is the effect it will have on the children as they get older.
Well, let me see. Right, this is the me, not necessarily playing the devil's advocate as much as I just have a different take on the whole getting teased and normalcy aspect of it for a child. Right. At the end of the day, a child is a child, and a child stays in the child's place. A child isn't fully aware of the sexual or romantic dynamic between the 3 adults. Like, at the end of the day, like, because if you are explaining to your kid that you're fucking both these women, you're probably mentally fucked up and shouldn't have 2 broads to mentally fuck up as well. So, but at any rate, say the child is aware of it. You're talking about, like, being different than the other kids. Every kid is different. I mean, because you got kids running around with divorced parents, kids running around with parents that ain't married, kids running around with parents that are married, kids that were adopted. So at the end of the day, if it was a feasible option, I say the ratio would be just the same. It would even out with all of the rest of the dysfunctional quote unquote ideologies.
Well, but it's a little different because again, divorce unfortunately is common. You know what I mean? So people having divorced parents doesn't necessarily make them different from a vast majority because honestly, when kids have their parents together, you know what I'm saying? Because most people I knew had divorced parents. So I don't know if that's a good comparison due to the fact of that. And polygamy is such a rarity that, people are really going to worry about how people view it because people are taught. These other kids' parents try to tell them, oh, hey, stay away from this guy because they do this and you're not supposed to do that. They're going to start brainwashing them at a young age about the negative aspects of it.
Yeah,
so,
once again, listen.
And you can say what you want, but it's going to tell them getting bullied.
No.
So
you still have
is the real deal.
Still missing you have to tell your children dynamic.
And you can tell your children, you can tell your children all you want, but it's still not going to stop them from. It's not always going to stop them from feeling some kind of way about how their peers feel.
Listen. You're missing it. I'm not going to explain to my child what my romantic involvement with anyone is. That's like literally kids make the assumption that their parents are fucking. Very seldom do you know for a fact your parents are fucking. You know they had to fuck at least once to get you here. But outside of that, unless you bump into some shit at your house because your parents are kind of open, growing up, I remember don't touch my door. Literally, you're not coming in my door for nothing. You knock at my door. I pay the bills here. When you want me and you're at my door, you knock. But when I come to your door, I just open it the fuck up because I paid the bills. That's how my mom was. So, what exactly do you think is going to denote the giveaway for a child to run and be like, well, my dad is married to 2 chicks?
I think that you have 2 moms. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to have your wife on a regular basis. That's just in a sense, of course, it's a little different. That's like a kid being adopted by a gay couple. You know what I mean? You're going to know that your family is different than the other one because you see these 2 people all the time. So when it comes back to polygamy, right? You're going to notice that you have all these different moms, right? And eventually you're going to start well, shit, which one is my real mom? You know what I mean?
No, listen, you're going to the whole 6 wives. Cool. Yeah, 6 wives would be a little extreme. But if you got 6 wives, you probably got a big ass house. So who gives a fuck what anyone thinks? Because you're rich as hell. But we're gonna go back to 2 people, right? You got 2 motherfuckers. The child's mother picks up the child from school. You pick up the child from school, and there's another woman on the list. Most women have another female friend that would be on the list to pick up the kid from school. What's to say it's not that person? Because now you're literally getting into the internal dynamics of a household. And we all know, because of how and where we grew up at, you don't talk about the internal dynamics of your household with outside motherfuckers. If my lights is cut off, I don't go to school and tell everybody my mother couldn't pay the light bill. So what the fuck am I going to go to school and tell everybody my dad got 2 bitches living in the house?
Because this is not, because you thinking about how we grew up.
Okay, we're referring to us. So when you raising a kid, is your kid going to be like, okay, mommy and daddy don't ever sleep together. Mommy and daddy's about to get a divorce. Mommy and daddy got different rooms. None of this shit is what comes out of a kid's mouth. Unless the kid is popped right. So the same holds true for this scenario. Do you feel do you understand exactly what I'm saying at this point?
I get it. I get it.
The internal dynamics of your house, if it goes outside of your house, then yes, it will probably be some negative aspect. But even with that, the negative aspect is the same. It will carry the same weight as a divorce or 2 gay parents or whatever. No one, everyone has this idea of a fucking quote unquote functional, perfect, traditional nuclear family, but none of us actually know that. So if the idea is the nuclear traditional family is the bar, shit, we all think that that's abnormal as hell. Because we know like maybe 3 people that exist in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like between us, we know 3 motherfuckers that exist in that way, in a real way. Like because there's plenty of people who had moms and dads and they looked like they were together, but you knew dad was doing whatever the fuck dad wanted to do. Dad had a whole family down the street.
Okay.
Right. Like so once again, you're talking about the negative impact on the child in that way from that family. What I would say is it's not going to have any more or less of an adverse impact as the other shit a child goes through on a day-to-day as it grows up.
I still think it would because it's different. It's not the same. I mean, yeah, divorce is very kids, but it's common. You know what I mean? This is a different scenario. So to them, because it's so different, people are like, you know, why is it different? You know what I mean? So of how we think, right? Most people don't think like we think. So with that being said, I mean, it's the possibility of it escaping the household some way or form, whether through the child or through other people that know what's going on because they know these fuck. It can easily get around. I mean, especially if you live in a, you know, smaller community, which typically they do. People who do practice polygamy.
Oh, no. Once again, look, we're not abstracting. We're using us. I don't want to abstract because abstract we can always throw any what if. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real shit. Like every abstract situation or every hypothetical, you can add a what if. If Kev has 2 women and kids with each of these women, or just kids with one of the women, does Kev worry about the negative impact? Because Kev doesn't allow people in his business now, so I'm pretty sure he's going to raise his child to not have people in his business.
I'm just talking in general because you know.
Like no, but that's never going to happen with me. See, okay, listen, it's never going to happen with you.
But I'm just talking. You didn't say name aspects you got polygamy.
Oh
so
no,
I'm just saying negative aspects.
But listen, we know the negative possibilities, right? We get that. Like there's a negative possibility with any shit. There's a negative possibility with a quote unquote monogamous married relationship. Because once again, you're not normal. Like I don't like every single one of our friends out of 30 kids in a class. There's only 2 kids in that class that have 2 parents that are together. So the other 29, 28 kids are looking like y'all 2 motherfuckers is weird. Like how the fuck? What's it like growing up with mommy and daddy? That's why you fucked up. That's why you spoiled. That's why you don't fucking have no sense. That's why you run around running your mouth all the time. So honestly, I believe that would have more of a negative impact having a quote unquote nuclear traditional family because no one fucking has that. That like we say that about people. Like I know, like I'm quick. Like hey, as soon as I see some shit, I'd be like, yeah, you fucked up like that because you got mommy and daddy in the house. That's real shit. You don't know what the fuck it's like to live like the rest of the world because the rest of the world doesn't have that. We all know that. Like literally, when you think about it, like we know people who grew up with mom and dad and come to find out mom and dad wasn't mom and dad. Mom and dad was grandma and grandpa and your fucking mother was your sister. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that.
Yeah.
Right. So you really have to think like your argument, like I get it. I'm not saying it's not going to cause any harm. I'm saying it's not going to cause any more harm than the shit that's already out there. Like, there's no way it's going to cause any more harm because we, as children vilify other children for a multitude of things. And adults, fuck being the bitch asses that they are, vilify children for a multitude of things as well. But that's why I say, like, I'm going to use me. But motherfuckers don't even know where I live, and they know me. Like, I meet you somewhere, you got me fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you're not finna just come past my house and be parlay kicked up. Like, you know, it's not no mi casa and su casa type shit. You come to my house, like, no, this is my motherfucking house. You gonna do what the fuck I say in my house, or you gonna get the fuck out. I'm pretty sure y'all are exactly the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you might, at your house, you might put your feet on your coffee table. You come in my house, I say, mi casa and su casa, you put your feet on my coffee table, I might break your fucking ankle. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not real.
Yeah, damn.
That's real shit. Like you're not just gonna put your feet on my motherfucking coffee table. Like that's what you do at your house. So what you do at your house stays at your house. And if we all constantly feel this way, like we know, and we know a great number of motherfuckers that feel the same exact way we feel. They may not be as extreme as we are in the practice, but they feel the same way. So how does the information get out? And you like you said, you know the nosy people, but the nosy people, they nosy now. You know what I'm saying? Like motherfuckers don't know how much money you make. They don't know. Like my mom used to tell me, don't be inviting motherfuckers into the house because then they know what you got. And then they want to come get it from you. So I'm not a big fan of motherfuckers coming to my house. And I will never be a big fan of coming to my house because you might walk in my shit and see some shit that I got and like it. And then I got to shoot you because you're trying to walk out my house with my shit on the day you thought I wasn't home. Right. So, like with all of that shit being said, how does it get out? In a real way, like in a accurate way, because shit, you might have your sister coming from out of town and coming to stay with you. So everybody think, oh, like they don't know you got a sister. So they think you living with two women and fucking both these women, but one of them is your actual sister. So everybody running their mouth, got the rumor mill going. When the questions come,
know what's going on.
Right, when the questions come, what do you say? No, that's my sister, motherfucker. Like, why are you in my business? So the same thing could hold true. So once again, like, how does it negatively impact a kid any more than the negative shit that's kids are already subjected to? And I'm always saying more, because I know it has an impact. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly there will be some impact to speak of. But how does it impact a child more? So I'm like, yeah, you know, like I said, this will be a good one to absolutely go over again with the female perspective, you know, just in case, you know, we do know females that actually tolerate us enough, despite our hostile views toward women, to speak to us nicely and not necessarily want to fly off the handle all the time. So, you know, there will be another podcast with that particular topic, with this particular topic in mind with a female perspective, because personally, in a real conversation, I always want to ask a female, like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to understand why not. I understand all of the reasons that you could give me that are superficial, like, yo, I need all the attention to be on me. But you don't want no help because you complaining all day about the shit you got to do. And I'm not, once again, I ain't talking about sexually. If you got a job, wouldn't it be nice to have a living that makes the load lighter? Like when you tired as hell or you can't pick up your kid from school on time because you had to work late, wouldn't it be nice to be able to call the house and still have somebody get your kid off the bus or go pick your kid up? Instead of one of the primary providers having to stop work, thereby affecting the overall finances of the house to go get a child. Sick child can stay at home with the other person. And it's not as big of a burden as, because I mean, you figure like, what, you got two people, say both of them make $50,000 a year. That's $100,000 a year household. So this person has to start taking off work because they ain't got adequate child care or the kid gets sick or whatever. You effectively just took $25,000 away from your household. But if you add three motherfuckers, like the drop, while more numerically from 150,000 to 100,000 is more, the drop off from 100,000 to 75,000 would hurt you more. Numerically speaking. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about these straight fucking numbers. Because if three people live in the house, they all make $50,000 a year, that's $150,000 a year. So if you remove the entire salary of one person, you still have $100,000 a year lifestyle. But if you only have two people and that one person can't perform at the best of their ability at their given job, and they lose half of their income based on time off, you're talking about $25,000. So that's less than $50,000. But the drop from $100,000 to only $75,000 a year, that'll hurt your soul. Because now you're talking about your mortgage and your car notes not getting paid.
How about that shit?
So I really want to ask, and I want to ask a woman. I don't know, you already know they're gonna be hostile and screaming, hollering, and all this other shit. Like I said, I ain't on the sexual shit. Like I get the sexual shit. I get why your feelings is hurt, whatever. Like that's great. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Like you get over that because women have dudes that cheat on them and they take them motherfuckers back, whatever. Like you got bitches running around talking about some. As long as he come home to me at night, I'm fine. You got the other bitches to be like, as long as I'm the main bitch, I don't give a fuck about 2, 3, and 4. All manner of speaking, clearly promoting the ideology without actually agreeing to polygamy. So I really want to have the conversation. I think it'll be an interesting one to have.
I agree.
Mr. DeKevin?
Agreed.
All right. Are we going to table this until the next, not the next podcast, because the next podcast there will be special guests, but we will not be talking about polygamy. We're going to have to set the polygamy up and frame it in a way that, while it's going to be argumentative and loud and boisterous because that's what they do, there needs to be some focus. Like we're focused. We get it. Like even in not totally agreeing with the negatives and the positives, we can still concede and be like, okay, well let's listen. All right, I can see where you're saying that. All right, but what if? So I don't want to just what if. I'm talking about like getting at least two women on the phone at the same time, talking to us three to determine, and so we can ask all of the questions that we would want to ask if we were going to involve that woman with ourselves and another woman. And then like not on no game, not on no slick shit. Like literally, like let's if you sat down as a grown adult, responsible human being about to start a financial enterprise, like you tell me right now, like if I was going into a business venture with someone, I would damn well want to have 2 other partners versus 1 other partner.
I agree.
Right, like, and like unless I could fund the whole business myself, like okay, well, this is the same concept because no matter what anyone says, like marriage is a financial, legal, binding obligation with another fucking party. You say whatever you want to say about the romantic, religious sacrament part. Fuck that. That don't mean shit because when you go to get married, you go to the state and you ask them for permission and they give you permission. And when you want to fucking nullify your contract, you have to go back to the state. It ain't none of that got shit to do with the church. Because if you get married in the justice of the peace or you get married in the church, you're just as fucking married. So clearly this is a legal, financial, binding contract between 2 fucking parties. And then nobody got to agree on that because I personally don't give a fuck if that's the case. like when you get a divorce, nobody talks about, hey, like I'm worried about how we gonna separate these feelings. Motherfuckers is talking about separating the assets. Is that right or wrong? Like who's gonna pay who what? Who's financially responsible for what we accrued over these fucking years? Yada yada yada. So people can talk that it's about romance and sacrament and all that bullshit. All y'all motherfuckers is lying to y'all goddamn self. When the marriage is over, ain't nobody talking about, well, I want to keep this memory from when we went to the park. Nobody says that. No one says that. Motherfuckers is like, well, I'm getting this car and you getting that car and we selling the house because we splitting it down the middle and you get the kid on such and such and such a time and I get the kid on such and such and such a time and then we gonna have to flip flop whenever we claim the kid on the income taxes. Finance. Period. People say whatever the fuck they want to say. That's the fact. Now, I get the emotional thing. I feel it in my little butterflies happening right now. Whew. But now they just went away. It's over. So get the fuck over yourself. So yeah, can we clearly agree that this is going to have to happen next time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So next podcast, we're going to announce it, right? We're going to announce the podcast now, and maybe. Oh, by the way, I've gotten some emails, y'all, but I'm not responding to them because they're just not interesting enough. Yeah, I said it, so fucking be hurt, bitches. We're going to talk about social media, and we're going to talk about the trend and the addiction that is social media for men and women, and our responses to social media, and how social media has given people this false security and allowing them to be tough or more overtly sexual or alphas in a sense. And we're going to see where that conversation leads us. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
All right. So, listen, everyone who's listening to the podcast, when you get to this part, think of a relevant question or idea or argument. Don't be a bitch, because when you email me, I know who you are. Look, if you say some dumb shit, I might just read your dumb shit on, because I just don't care. So, I'll just make you look like a fucking idiot. And fuck, I do it. What's what I do. It's my thing. So, I'll make you look stupid if you sound stupid. Don't do the stupid thing. But this time, it's not going to just be me making you look stupid, because I'm going to let Kev and Mookie both know the dumb shit you said in the email, and we're going to go from there. And then you're going to hear Kev say some super wild shit, because you know he's way more offensive than me. And then Mookie is way more angry than me.
Oh, shit.
Is that laughter?
I'm like super nice.
Okay, I mean, you know, listen, Mook, you see that brown shit you just stepped in? That's bullshit.
What those?
All right. Yeah, y'all. We will see y'all next time we meet up, or y'all will hear from us next time we meet up. And y'all have a good night. Fuck y'all. No filter. We out. What do you want, little boy? Why you?